Knock it out the park, you ain't slam dunking the stats. That's shoot the breeze. Next man up with ice water in they vein, throwing the Hail Mary from football to alley hooping. Basketball, a winner's a win, and that's shoot the breeze. So if you insist, pass the baton in a relay race, or full court press your opponent to be the GOAT on a Monday morning quarterback football jack. Next time you cross the goal line, that's shoot the breeze. And maybe then, only then, you may be able to take one for the team or spend to pitch a curve to the ball. In baseball, you ain't no home run, you ain't no touchdown, you ain't no three-point shot unless you tune in. Shoot the breeze. Watch and learn from this marathon. Aim for your shot and pass this along. The ball is in your court. Or did you lose a step at the crossover? Crossover and cross to get a feel of that. And that's shoot the breeze.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Breezy, and we're back for episode number 3. Episode number 3, man. It feels good to be back. I'm going to try to bring you guys an episode twice a week. So Monday and Wednesdays look like those are going to be my days. I know with things about to start kicking back off, work about to kick back in. I'm going to figure out a way to do this. So I'll probably be coming on later during the day, probably like around the 4:30 mark p.m. Eastern Standard Time mark. So I hope you guys are tuned in and things like that. But before we get started, let's go ahead and kick off the formalities so that you guys can follow and do all that good stuff that you've been doing. Listen, we're on Facebook. We're live on Facebook right now. So if you're not following the Facebook page, there's the link down there at the bottom, man. It's www.facebook.com. Shoot the Breeze Pod TV. Make sure you go ahead and give a like to that page. You can also follow us on IG at Shoot the Breeze Pod TV. All right, I'm going to be posting pictures and breaking news and all that good stuff of all your favorite teams, not just my favorite teams, but all your favorite teams, NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, you name it, video games, fashion, new sneakers. It's going to be crazy, man. I have this vision of just talking and bringing you guys so much live content that I can, man. I just like to talk about stuff when it comes to sports. All right. Make sure you follow me or follow Shoot the Breeze account on Twitter. That's Shoot the Breeze and the number 6. That's Shoot the Breeze and the number 6. If you guys have any questions, you guys want to contact me and email me, you have ideas or things like that, or you just want to shoot the breeze in my email, go ahead and give me an email. That's at sportsbreezy@gmail.com. And last but not least, I do have apparel ready. You're probably asking, why am I not wearing apparel? Well, it's because it's not here yet, but I will be wearing my own apparel, my own Shoot the Breeze apparel very soon. So make sure you go to that website. It's www.teespring.com/shoot-the-breeze-apparel. And I did make sure I spelled that right. So it is spelled correctly. Make sure you go ahead and give that account a check out. Look it up, man. There's some cool stuff up there, man. We got t-shirts, face masks. We got the stretch pants for the ladies. We got stickers. You name it, man. There's a whole bunch of stuff up there. So go ahead and give that a look, man. And if you guys like what you want, man, go ahead and pick up something for you from your boy. All right, now the formalities are out the way. There's a lot of stuff I want to go on, man. What's good, Big Ken? What's good? Always faithful. I see you in here. Dion Cooper, 19. Yeah. So very quickly to my 49er fans that are watching right now, who's gonna be watching. Hey, Miss Cinnamon, guys. There is a report going out there that's saying that wide receiver for the 49ers, Jalen Hurd, is getting an MRI. There is a possible torn ACL, which means he will be out for the season. It's another 49ers receiver going down. It's starting to add up for me. I'm not going to talk too much about this on this particular show, but I just want to give you a quick insight on it. It is starting to add up. It's starting to make sense why Kyle said he wants to have a bunch of wide receivers in training camp, because wide receivers tend to get dinged up very easily. He did mention that. Then we started bringing in wide receivers. They started signing guys, veteran guys like Tavon Austin, and they signed JJ Nelson. And now before this report came out, also the Jerron Brown report came out that he's going to be visiting the 49ers today and things like that. So there's a bunch of things that are happening. And then yesterday, which was Sunday, we heard that Jaylen Brown got hurt. They said that he walked off the field. He was going to be okay. Some reports said he came back to practice or whatnot. So it's very interesting to see what's going to happen. I tell you what, prayers going out to this young fellow, man. He is definitely one of the most meanest, fiercest wide receivers that we have not seen in a regular season, right? So he hasn't been playing in the regular season, but I'm really hoping and praying that this kid pulls through, man. Marquette, what's going on? Cuzzo, Chris Brown, I see you in the building. Man, I'm just really quickly giving a quick report, guys, on 49ers wide receiver Jalen Hurd. So stay tuned. Make sure you guys are following the Nothing But Niners channel. I'm sure once the news breaks, they're going to be giving you guys a breaking news video, and you may see me up there as well. All right. So make sure you follow Nothing But Niners. I'll go ahead and post that down there at some point during the show as I'm creating the banner. But you know what time it is? I want to kick the show off because it's a certain time, and it's playoff time. What does that mean? That means it is time for some NBA playoffs, and we have the 8 teams that made the playoffs right here. All right. So as you can see on the graphic, man, you got the Lakers going against the Trailblazers, the Rockets versus the Thunder, the Nuggets versus the Jazz, the Clippers versus the Mavericks. That's your Western Conference, right? Then on the Eastern side of the globe, you got the Bucks going against the Magic, the Pacers and Heat, the Celtics and 76ers, the Raptors and the Nets. All these games, I believe, are going to be on NBA TV, right? And NBA TNT. So this is going to be really cool, guys. So make sure you guys are tuned in. The playoffs are kicking off today. Let's talk about the NBA playoffs, man. We got these Western Conference teams. Who do you guys got coming out of the West? Who do you guys got coming out of the East? It would be really cool to see where your mindset is, because we know Lakers are number one out of the West, and we got the Milwaukee Bucks number one out of the East. Do the number one seeded teams end up in the NBA championship game? What do you guys think? I would love to know. Do the number one seeded teams make it to the NBA finals? And that's what we really want to sit there and break down. All right. So we're going to talk about today's games. Today's games are pretty cool, man. Look, guys, I'm a Celtics fan. My man 49er said, he said Clippers versus Bucks. Wow. So he did go with an LA team, but he decided to pick the Clippers over the Lakers. I'm very interested to know why you picked the Clippers. Are you a Clippers fan? Do you just hate the Lakers? A lot of people don't like the Lake Show because they have history, just like a lot of people don't like Boston. They have history. So it's going to be very, very interesting. I would love to know why you chose the Clippers. So go ahead and type in your comments down there at the bottom. So we got right now, we got Clippers versus Bucks. That's going to be super interesting to talk about. But let's talk about today's games, today's matchups, guys. We have, and this is why I'm bringing you the show right now as we speak. It is 12 p.m. on Eastern Standard Time, and the first game is at 1:30 p.m., and I got to go for a run, so I'm probably going to miss at least an hour of this first game. But we got the Jazz going against the Nuggets in game one. All right, let's talk about who takes that series. And at 4 p.m., you got the Nets going against the Raptors. 6:30 p.m. is where I'll be tuning in, and you probably won't hear from me. And if you are following me on Twitter at Wayne Breezy, you're going to be seeing nothing but Celtics posts. So, unless there's breaking news and some type of other sports or things. And then the night game is going to be the Mavericks versus Clippers. I'm not sure why a lot of people think that the Clippers, is it going to be a push? Is it going to be a easy, clean sweep for the Mavs? For the Clippers, I said Mavs. So, guys, you can tell that I'm kind of favoring the Mavs because you have a guy like Luka Doncic that is playing out of his mind, right? He's playing out of his mind. He is playing MVP level basketball in year two. And this yep, I said it right. Year two. This kid is playing MVP level basketball. And I really want to know, does the Dallas Mavericks has what it takes to be a juggernaut team like the Clippers? And are the Clippers a juggernaut team? That's a question that we are going to try to figure out, right? They have a pretty cool bench, man. I love their starting five. The Clippers, I say this, the Mavericks have nothing to lose. The Clippers have everything to lose because the Clippers are always in the shadows of the Los Angeles Lakers, and they're probably going to do whatever it takes to win this series, right? But I don't think this is going to be an easy one. I actually have this one going 7 games. I think this is the only series in my NBA bracket that I have going 7 games in the first round. A lot of these other teams I have winning in either 5 or 6, and I think I have a couple of sweeps. One in the Eastern Conference and one in the Western Conference. I think I have 2 sweeps. I have to go back and look at it, but that's pretty much what I have. So look, 1:30 p.m. You got the Jazz, you got the Nuggets. I have the I got the Nuggets winning that series, right? The Jazz have a couple of players that are out. I think Mike Conley's gave birth, or wife is giving birth, and he has left the bubble, so he won't be here at the beginning of this series. And then he has to go through the quarantine. So I think he misses. I think he's going to miss this whole series, if I'm not mistaken. But I just think Denver is probably one of the most, to me, the Denver Nuggets, and this is not a comparison to the San Antonio Spurs, who did not make the playoffs, and that's like a big wow. Like in 22 years, the Spurs have not made the NBA playoffs. That's huge. I have the Denver Nuggets playing like a Spurs type of team. They kind of have that system where they're just good. Um, but I don't know if they have what it takes, that Spurs power to kind of like, win it all yet. I don't think they have what it takes to win it all yet. Then the Brooklyn Nets, who are the 7th seed going against, the 2nd seed. Toronto Toronto should win this series pretty easily. I definitely think they're going to take game one. I know there's no home court advantage because they're all in Orlando, but I have the Raptors kind of like just, doing what they do best, and just really spreading this ball out, and really taking over this game. I mean, the Nets are young. They're missing two of their superstar players. Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant are not playing. I don't think DeAndre Jordan is there. Like, they're missing a lot of players, but I will give credit to the Nets. They do have those young guys balling and balling out. And LeVert is someone fun to watch. All right. He's someone fun to watch. Then we got my matchup, right? So we got the 76ers going against the Boston Celtics. And if you have not been paying attention to the NBA, Ben Simmons is not playing in this series. I'm not sure he's going to be playing for the rest of the NBA tournament due to injury. So, how will the Celtics fare going up against this Joel Embiid team? Because that's whose team it is. This should be pretty interesting. Honestly, I have the Celtics winning it in 5. So, this little bit of rivalry going down. It's going to be pretty cool to watch tonight. So make sure you guys are tuned in. Hopefully, the Celtics do what they do best, man. They got to hit their shots, play on ball D, play perimeter D, rotate on D, run picks and rolls, do what they do, and the Celtics, I think the Celtics will be fine. Listen, you said that Portland will give LA a serious run. Look, I can't wait to watch that game. That's a series matchup that I can't wait to watch. That it can possibly be a 7-game series, and the reason why is they have a player named Damian Lillard who has been playing the like out of his mind. He's been playing MVP level basketball, and it's ridiculous. Look, we got some Brooklyn Net fans in the building. Very interesting. And you know what? I like that you're representing Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? Go Brooklyn. RIP Biggie, man. I'm a big Jay-Z fan. But shout out to Brooklyn right now. Look, Brooklyn is going to be a problem in the NBA East. Once they get those players back, and they may be able to acquire another player. Like once they get those two core guys back, it's going to come down to the question, like, can LeVert play with Kyrie? Can it work? Because LeVert needs to be starting. You got Dinwiddie. Is Dinwiddie's role going to be cool coming off the bench? I mean, that's pretty much what he does, but he's also a starter too in the NBA. So, like, it's going to be interesting to see how the Brooklyn Nets kind of like fare out going forward. But congratulations to the Brooklyn Nets for being here in these playoffs, man. I think it's pretty cool that the Brooklyn Nets are in the playoffs. They actually made the playoffs. And I can't wait to see how those guys kind of like play. I truly can't. I think it's going to be very interesting to watch these young teams who have made it into this tournament faced through all the adversity, and they're going to be giving it all they got. They're going to be giving every team their best shot each night in and night out. So it's going to be awesome to watch. It's playoff time for the NBA. Fans, get ready. I hope you guys are excited. It's going to be really cool to watch. I hope your team wins. I really don't hope your team wins. I'm just saying that because I'm a sports show host, but I hope my team wins. That's what I care about. But may the best team win. That's what I should say, man. So kudos to your teams if they made the tournament. If your team didn't make the tournament, man, please support the NBA. They're doing a great job at giving us really good content to watch, for our stories to follow. But the games have been exciting. The crowds, the fans, the virtual fans have been amazing. It's been pretty cool. It started off weird for me watching players just pop up and things like that up in the stands. but it's been pretty cool to watch. So, Portland is going to give LA a run for their money. I can't wait to watch that, guys. Make sure you guys are hitting that like and subscribe button, man. If you guys are watching me on YouTube, please hit that like, please hit the subscribe button. And more importantly, I know those two things are important. I would love for I love comments, whether it's positive or negative. I love the thumbs up. It's all good. Make sure you guys are hitting those buttons, please. And then we'll be good to go. Listen, this will not be a long show. I wanted to talk about the playoffs. I now want to talk about the NFL. And the NFL, it is training camp time, and it is pads day. Now, however you want to take that, I don't mean any disrespect, but it is pads day. Players are putting on the pads today. Matter of fact, I know my favorite team, the 49ers, are going to be going live around 10:15 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'll be struggling with the time, so I guess that is maybe at 1 o'clock here. But I don't know. Who cares? Anyway, it's going to be cool. I can't wait to tune in to see what's going on. If you have a favorite team, you should have been following their pressers and things like that and the things that are going on in the NFL. But the NFL itself is doing everything in its possibility, everything in its arsenal to make sure that they give the fans an NFL season this season for 2020, right? They're doing everything. And I do want to kick the show off, man. Before I start sharing some things that are going on, I want to talk a little bit about Hard Knocks. And if you haven't seen the first episode of Hard Knocks, I would suggest that you give it a try. And I know your teams are probably aren't in it. That's fine. They're doing the LA teams. They're doing the Rams and the Dodgers. I mean, the Dodgers. They're doing the Rams and the Chargers, right? You see how I said Chargers, Dodgers. It doesn't rhyme, but whatever. They're doing the Rams and the Chargers. And I will be honest with you, it's been pretty interesting. Episode 1 was pretty interesting. I can't wait till it gets to episode 2, which is tomorrow night. It airs at like 10 p.m. on HBO. But it was very interesting, and it started off with Anthony Lynn, Coach Lynn from the San Diego, from the Los Angeles Chargers. Just kind of like talking, giving his revelation to like how he became who he is, what he is in football, and things like that. And it was pretty cool because I got to see, being African American, like I got to watch an African American kind of like supersede and get to that top spot, which is head coach. To get to a head coaching spot in the National Football League. And I'm kind of like rooting for him and his guys, man. Once he gave his story about having COVID and contracting it and things like that, I would say that I was under the radar. I did not know it flew under the radar. I was not aware that Coach Lynn had the COVID virus. I knew about Sean Payton and I think there was a couple of other NFL coaches, but I didn't know about the Anthony Lynn. So that was the first thing he did. And I think the reason why he put it out there, if you watch the episode, was because he wanted to break the playing field. You ever go into a classroom and your teacher has an icebreaker on the first day? Well, it was like the icebreaker for his players, on their Zoom meeting. And it was just like, listen, like, this is what COVID is. This is what COVID does. COVID sucks, but it's here. And we're going to have to do our best to do such and such and such, to deal with it. Being a survivor of COVID, and he broke the news. And then I think you can see the fans his players just kind of like, oh, wow. Like, we didn't know that. Like, it was like, oh, snap, and I think by him kind of like putting it out there, I think it upped the level of awareness. It was like a quick PSA to his players and staff. Look, let's make sure that we're on the up and up. We're following all the NFL protocols and things like that. So both teams kind of handled COVID. Were handling COVID in a different way. They both were comical. Both coaches, Sean McVay and Anthony Lynn, they had their comical, reliefs throughout the episode. But it wasn't all about COVID. I mean, they did have one. The Chargers actually had to let go of one player. If you're not aware of what's going on in NFL, teams have to get their roster sizes down to 80 men. All right, but they did up the practice squad sizes, right? And you can have about 6 veterans on your practice squad and things like that. So the Chargers ended up cutting a player. They ended up cutting a tight end player, and that was my favorite part about the episode. Not of the player getting cut. That's not what I'm talking about. So one of my the reason why it was my favorite part was simply the player came in and he already knew. Oh, snap. Like, oh man, you know what I'm saying? And he was like, this can't be what I think it is. And then Coach Lynn was like, yeah, but you work really hard. And the kid was like, yo, I bust my tail, to do it. And he's like, I know you do. So I think what Coach Lynn got out of it, and we even talked to his other coach, he said, listen, man, I didn't expect him to give that type of response, and I kind of liked it. But what the heck does this kid think he is? Who do he think he is? Is he Antonio Gates? And then I just fell to the floor cracking up, yo. So each part that they're representing from the Rams side, the Chargers side of LA, they have their comic reliefs, and it's pretty cool to watch, yo. I mean, Sean McVay, there's nothing I like about him, but I'm a 49ers fan, but I will say he has his comic relief, and I think his players are all in, yo. The fact that they talked about it, the way the episode ended was hilarious, right? So they talked about they were doing like their stretches and things like that, and it was pretty cool to hear somebody say, who the heck blew up the porta potty? And now the players don't use the porta potty. So immediately the HBO staff got ranked out, and it was so cool. And the episode was ending. So shout out to HBO for not editing that part out and being a part of the comic relief and giving us, giving the fans, giving the media, giving us just a relief of all the things that we've been going through with this COVID stuff, all the political things that's going on. Obviously, we're going through this political race, right? Presidency, and then all of the things that are going on in the world. Thank you for allowing us to just sigh, laugh, and have some fun. So make sure you guys tune into Hard Knock. It comes on HBO. If you don't have a subscription, I'm sure you can find a way to watch it. Do your thing, and it'll be all good. So we talked about NFL players, NFL teams practicing in pads. I touched on the Hard Knock. I just want to give you guys a couple of developing stories, and then we're going to get into my kit and caboodle. Let's see if you can guess what that is. All right. So developing story right now is wide receiver, a guy we haven't seen since 2017. There is a pic. This is a picture of him in the Dallas Cowboys uniform, and the reason why this picture was chosen because he only played maybe like one game with the Saints. Then he tore his ACL. He ended up getting injured with the Saints, but it's developing. He's out there. He's going to be. The Ravens are holding a workout for veteran wide receiver Dez Bryant. And I kind of want to know what you guys feel about that. If you're not tuning in, if you're gonna watch this on the recap, cool. Make sure you post your comments. If you want to shoot me an email, you can. But I'm just looking at the receivers, man, and lo and behold, their leading pass catcher was a tight end. Now, I'm not knocking that. Why? Because on my team, I have a tight end that just loves to catch the ball, right? And then Kansas City Chiefs have a tight end, and as you can see, there's this trend of tight ends, right? So you have George Kittle, Travis Kelce. Some people say Zach Ertz. He's kind of like on the decline, but he'll be getting a deal soon. But then there's this guy named Mark Andrews. He had 64 catches, right, for 852 yards. But then their wide receivers kind of are like just like blah, 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 blah. So they have Marquise Brown, Willie Snead, Nick Boyle. Hayden Hurst was another tight end, right, that they used. But I think, did Hayden Hurst go to a different team? I'm not sure. And then obviously their pass catcher out the backfield, Mark Ingram, was another one of their pass catchers. Marquise Brown was their number one leading wide receiver in receptions. He had 584 yards. I think he was injured. I think he did play injured a lot. Willie Snead is another guy that can stretch the field, but they don't have like a slot guy. The question is, if this player, Dez Bryant, who was definitely, a great player, like, is he going to be able to run these routes? Like, what are they going to do? Like, is this a good thing for the Baltimore Ravens? Me personally, I say yes. I think Dez Bryant belongs in the NFL. I would love to see him get another shot on a team. You know what I'm saying? And obviously, the Ravens have a defense, right? That's something that they decided to make sure that they had. And their offense is pretty stagnant. They have one of the most elite quarterbacks in the NFL. I think adding a Dez Bryant, a guy that can just run down the field, you could throw the ball up to, and boom, 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 boom. That could be some pass catching capability. I think this would be good for the NFL, just to be honest. I'm not trying to big up the Ravens or anything like that, but I think this would be really good for the NFL, allowing Dez Bryant, the fact that he's trying to make a comeback for himself. The question is, him being a little bit older, will he be able to get into some type of football shape? Because he did get dinged up in New Orleans. And I knew when he signed in New Orleans, I said, dang, they got Dez Bryant. They got Michael Thomas. They got this guy. Like they're going to have some weapons, and I believe Des Bryant caught a touchdown with the Saints. I have to look that up. But listen, that's a developing story. It's not breaking yet. It hasn't happened. He is just getting a workout. I just wanted to put it out there for you guys. Des Bryant is developing in Baltimore. Hey, Des, man, make sure you grab me a couple of crab cakes, man, and shoot them down I-95, man, because I can go for some of those if you're in the area. All right. So listen, you got Des Bryant. We got some other news going on in NFL, but what I really want to get into is this. Here's my versus battle right here. All right. So look, highest paid tight end in the NFL. Is Kelce the second highest paid tight end, or is it still Austin? Hooper, dude from Cleveland. He ended up getting traded to Cleveland. I'm not sure, but clearly these are the top two tight ends in the NFL. Some say one, some say two, some say 1A, some say 1B. Everybody has their preference. I don't want to sit here and boast about, things like that. Stats will never lie, right? Numbers lie, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. You heard Jay-Z say that. I'm sure he got that from somebody. If not, cool, whatever. But that's what it is. Now, stat-wise, I'm going to honestly say that stat-wise, Kelce has the edge in stats. That's just what he does. He's played longer in the NFL, and he's also utilized a little bit differently in that Kansas City offense. If you watch their offense is really heavily based off of his gameplay. Think about it. Who is the crutch for Patrick Mahomes? It's their tight end. Now, he runs really good routes. He can line up outside. He can get on the mismatches and things like that. So this makes Kelce a super threat when it comes to pass catching capability. Now let's talk a little bit about George Kittle, right? George Kittle also can oppose threats, right? Now, we don't see him line up much outside the numbers, but inside the numbers, when he gets that space in the middle of the field, his yak goes up. So if there's one category that I know that George Kittle leads in by a landslide is yak. It's yards after the catch, right? So that is one thing that George Kittle is great at. The second thing George Kittle is great at is blocking. And a lot of people don't forget that a tight end's job, number one job of the tight end, they're called a tight end for a reason, is blocking, that inline blocking, being able to block the defensive lineman or whatnot, linebacker or whatever it is that they have to do. That is part of their assignment. I would say that these guys are super similar. And if I had to say that there was one difference between the two, the only difference to me, from my eyes, from my observations, the only difference that I get between Kittle and Kelce, I would have to go off the blocking. Now, I don't think Kansas City's scheme, I'm not saying Kelce is a poor blocker. I'm just not sure that's the type of scheme that they try to use in their run game. Like, they don't use Kelce in that type of situation, and I kind of wonder what it would be like. I was on another show. I was on the Shant Club NFL show, and a question was posed to me. It was like, hey, you are the 49ers offense, and you can take Travis Kelce and you put him in your offense. Can you do the same things that you're doing right now? And I say to myself, it depends. It depends on the running game. San Francisco likes to base their offense off of run, then pass. Kansas City is the exact opposite. They do pass, and then they pass so much, you trying to cover the pass, you playing cover 3, cover 4, cover 6, whatever. And next thing you know, you got all these nickel and dime backers out there on the field, and you can't stop the run. So, like, they have their differences. I think George Kittle would improve Kansas City's offense, but I think George Kittle would improve Kansas City's offense, but I think Travis Kelce would fit right in the San Francisco offense. I just think it would decline a little bit in the run game. And that's the question that you're asking. You said, could Kelce do what Kittle does in our offense? And it's a no. Or at least we haven't seen it, right? Because we don't see Kansas City run the ball with the tight end line up on the line of scrimmage, right? We don't see it a lot, right? So it's clearly a no until we are able to see it. Now, this doesn't degrade Travis Kelce in any kind of way. It's just the simple fact that we're not seeing him as a blocker. We're seeing him as a threat, a weapon. But he can block. I know down the field, I've seen him lay some safeties out. So those are blocks downfield after the play is happening, but we're talking about design blocks, and that's just not a strength of Travis Kelce. And that's where George Kittle edges Kelce. And this is probably why the 49ers paid him. Look, he got paid what, 5-year extension, 75 million, 40 million guaranteed. If he doesn't get injured, 30 million guaranteed. If he does have some type of injury or whatnot, listen, they are investing in this particular player because they feel like George Kittle is the face of the franchise. He is what makes the offense tick. That's amazing. He is what makes the offense tick. A lot of people are like, "Well, don't you mean Jimmy Garoppolo and things like that?" Yo, Jimmy Garoppolo is gonna make the offense work. But what makes the offense tick is this guy right here. It's that George Kittle. Yo, thank you so much for loving the show, man. I truly appreciate you and your support, man. You've been supporting me from day one. I love it. Yo, Joe, what's good, baby? You said I hate Dallas. But like Dez, his work ethic to come back may help Baltimore offense if his mind is right. Listen, if this kid's mind is right and Baltimore gets a wide receiver that can stretch the field. Now they have Marquise Brown, correct? Who is their burner, right? He's like the Tyreek Hill of the offense, little guy, very fast, things like that. So he's definitely going to stretch the field. But we're talking about Dez running kind of like post routes and corner routes and those type of route running to where he can get down the field, put a move on it. And don't forget, I mean, if we got to pull up stats, Dez is probably really cool at the 50-50 ball. I know some of those calls got blown, and we don't want to bring up bad history or bad memories for our Dallas Cowboy fans. But listen, Dez is a guy. I as a 49er fan, I kept saying, listen, bring him in. What do you got to lose? What do you got to lose? You also said that goes back to Andy Reid's days with McNabb. It's not just Kelce and never ran a traditional offense. You're 100% correct, man. And I love that we have a historian on here that can date back to Donovan McNabb. Who was the tight end for that Philadelphia Eagles team during that time? So I'm trying to think. Was it Selleck? I can't remember who the tight end was. Was it Brent Selleck during McNabb's time? Sounds weird to say Brent because he seems relatively new. He seems relatively new. I remember Mark Bavaro. I'm not sure. I'm trying to think of Philadelphia tight ends. Mark Bavaro, the Selleck. I think his name was Brent Selleck. And now it's Zach Ertz. Because I think when they drafted Zach Ertz, he was going off because they still had Selleck. But it would just seem like Selleck would have been there for like 20 years. That just seems long. So I'm trying to figure out who that was. But you're right. Tight ends were never meant to block in a Andy Reid's offense. It's not what they do. It's not what he does in his specific style of offense. So when he got to Kansas City and he was able to get Kelce, man, he's using Kelce as a weapon. Like it's another guy you have to game plan for. And that's kind of what makes them a threat. When we go back to the Super Bowl, I know 49er fans don't like to bring it up. I don't like to rewatch it. But when you go back to the Super Bowl, let's think about it. Let's think about what happened. I know Tyreek Hill caught the 3rd and 15 pass, but Travis Kelce caught the touchdown. I don't know if we forgot that, but it was just like one of those plays where he just wasn't, he wasn't performing well in the game. Neither was George Kittle. I think I have those stats, actually. The stats were relatively close, guys. And many of you probably like, oh, I know a lot of Kansas City fans are like, well, Travis Kelce blew George Kittle out of the water or whatever in the Super Bowl. No, he didn't. He really didn't. He had 6 passes for 43 yards and a touchdown. Or did he have 2 touchdowns? He had a receiving touchdown no, he had a receiving touchdown. So he had a touchdown and he had a carry for 2 yards, if I'm not mistaken. Excuse me. So listen, Travis Kelce is the man in Kansas City, but George Kittle is definitely the man in Santa Clara. George Kittle caught 4 out of 7 passes. He had 36 yards, right? And no touchdowns. Okay. And I know on a Nothing But Niners show, we sat here and we broke down the role of a tight end. We got into a big verbal argument because I said, can George Kittle line up on the outside? Which meant And this was before he got his contract. And I was like, well, can he line up on the outside? Can he be a wide receiver? You know? And some said no, half said no, half said yes. And I said, why can't he? We don't see him do it, but that doesn't mean he can't do it. That doesn't mean he doesn't have the ability to do it. So I think that's Chad Lewis. Wow. Yeah, a guy we don't know about. So with that being said, it's just like, okay, who wins out of this versus battle? We doing a versus battle, right? Now, how do you grade the versus battle? Because if you're watching a regular versus, the rules are each person plays what? It's a music thing, guys. So if you guys don't know what the versus battle is, it's a music battle created by Swiss Beats and Timberland. They ended up during COVID, when COVID first broke out, they ended up going on Instagram and they had a battle of records. They like Swiss Beats played 20 of records that he produced, and he had a bunch of club bangers. And then Timberland did 20 records that he produced, and he had a bunch of club bangers. So those guys had something. They created this thing called Versus. So Versus ended up becoming some type of conglomerate, like it became a brand, right? So Versus ended up having their own account, and then Versus ended up getting hosted by Apple. So now the streaming is running through Apple, and it's so much, it's so much better because they were getting so many users and followers. But the rules to Versus was simply that each artist would play 20 of their best records. Now, the cool thing about Versus is in round one artist starts, and it's just like football. Round two, the team that didn't start starts the second half. All right. So I like that whole concept. Now, how can we do Versus and apply that concept to these two tight ends? Does it matter how long they've been in the game, or are we going to go just straight off of productivity and what we see? And if we're going to go off, we can't go. I hate to put that, how long they've been in the game. I kind of want to throw that out there because one artist can come into the game, have 20 hits right off the top, and then not do anything for the rest of their career. And then, but you have to sit there and give reverence to those 20 hits. Like they put out 20 bangers in a year. Like, oh my goodness. So that's how I kind of want to look at this. I want to do a poll, and it's hard for me to do a poll. I need followers on my Shoot the Breeze account. Let me post that up here so you can see that, because I want this to be an unbiased poll. All right. I want you guys to follow me here, or make sure you follow me on Facebook, because I need the poll to be as unbiased as possible. I'm a 49er fan, and I can tell you right now, if I post this on my Wayne Breezy account, all 5,000 49er followers, that the poll will be super skewed, and I don't really want that. All right. So guys, please give it a follow. I want to do a poll. I really want to know. I got to figure out how to tag in some Chiefs fans. It's hard to talk. So I've been having issues with Chiefs fans and Saints fans. Not really Seattle fans. It's weird. They're kind of dormant. But Saints fans and Chiefs fans, man, it's been a good 2019, right? Like, so Chiefs fans can kind of like say what they want, right? There's not really much I can say, but I do hold my own. But they won the Super Bowl. But Saints fans can't tell me nothing. All right. In the words of Kanye, you can't tell me nothing. All right, guys. So before we end the show, before we go ahead and say goodbye, we're going to do a couple more things. I definitely want to get your opinions on who's the better tight end in the verses, right? But listen, guys, this game is coming out very soon. I'm a Madden head. I'm excited to see what Madden 21 is going to be like. I did not get a chance to play the beta version. I wasn't blessed to get that email, even though everybody was talking about sending me a code, and I never got the code in my email or whatnot. And it's all cool. It's all good. You know what I'm saying? But look, PS4, Xbox, PS5, Xbox. What's the name of the new system? Xbox X, something like that. Whatever. I'm sure I'm probably going to get it at some point. But on August 25th, this game releases, man. And here are just a couple of photos of the detail and the graphics. They got Tom Brady in the Tampa Bay uniform. That's going to be exciting to watch. Kudos to Lamar Jackson for making the cover. I pray, and I don't pray on injuries, guys. So I pray he doesn't get hit with the Madden curse, because we all know everybody who's been on this cover, everybody and if I'm not mistaken, has been injured in some type of way, or went missing or something like that. But I got the picture of probably the best wide receiver in the game up here. So Michael Thomas being covered by, is that the rookie from Minnesota? Because I know Trey Waynes is no longer there. So who also got injured in camp and may be out for the season? Trey Waynes, cornerback. I think he went to the, oh no. So breaking news, if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan and you're hearing it first on the Shoot the Breeze podcast TV, breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. Gerald McCoy, defensive tackle, may have suffered an ACL tear. Gerald McCoy feared to have suffered torn ACL in a Cowboys practice. So this would be detrimental to the Cowboys. I know 49er fans aren't a favor of Cowboy fans. I know a lot of people don't like the Cowboys, but guys, I definitely want to make sure that we are not sitting here congratulating people on getting injured. That's not what we do here on this show. That's not what we should do in real life. So if this news is correct, our prayers go up to Gerald McCoy. Our prayers go up to Trey Waynes, and our prayers go up to Jalen Hurd, who are the three people that, if I'm not mistaken, who may have torn and suffered season injury, ACL injuries. So our prayers go up to those guys, man. Heal up, man. Heal up, guys. Keep your heads up, man. Keep your spirits up, guys. Before we go on and get up out of here, I truly want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. Thank you to the viewers who are watching. Thank you in advance to all of those who may watch or listen to on Spotify, Apple Podcast TV, Google Podcasts, all those things like that. This episode will be available for you. I had a blast. I love talking to you guys about things that are going on in the sports world. The next episode, we're probably going to be definitely introducing the kicks that'll be coming out this weekend. I like to give you guys an insight on the players' sneakers that are going to be dropping every week, and you guys will get that insight. So before we get up out of here, I want to give a special thanks to my graphic designer. He is designer of the Shoot the Breeze logo and the background that you see. Shout out to my man, Steve Mullen. You guys make sure you give him a follow at SMULLAN. That's Steve Mullen Jr. He's a junior. So make sure you guys give him a follow. And also, you can follow my artist, Mr. Qualo, man. Shout out to you on the intro, man. The spoken word intro was banging. I love it. It's good to have great spoken word and things like that. So shout out to you, brother. Thank you so much. Give him a follow at Negro Protein, man. He's doing his thing there. That's his brand that he put out. You can see his music videos and things like that. But he has a lot of content for you guys, and he speaks it to your mind so your mind can get blown. All right. Things like that. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please, if you can, please share this broadcast. Please make sure you retweet it. You go ahead and take the link out of YouTube. You copy, paste it, put it in your browsers. Do whatever it is you got to do, man. I would love to get this out there to the people. Remember, NBA playoffs start in about less than 45 minutes. So tip off is in 45 minutes, guys. Make sure you tune into the NBA playoffs. We'll be back on Wednesday. All right. Are you guys excited? I'm excited. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Shoot the Breeze podcast. I truly appreciate you guys. We out.